The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
He's got a foot like a traction engine. I tell you what a result last night. Yes, 1-1. Everybody before the game would have said, yeah, we should be expecting to win this game. But at the end of the day, a 1-1 draw after going behind through a bit of a dubious penalty. We'll discuss that in a moment. But I tell you what, before we get stuck into it, here's a bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. Find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. So, the lineup was as I expected it for AFC Bournemouth in yesterday's big game against West Ham United at Dean Court. It ended in a 1-1 draw, as you'll probably see. I'm going to really give my honest opinions. So, firstly, Dongo Watara started the game. As we've said before, he is a little bit more of an impact player for the Cherries. And personally, I think that really shone through yesterday. For every 9 things that Dongo does which don't come off, he does pull one out of the bag. And he was putting in some really good crosses. He was working really hard. He was running down that wing, making things happen. He was getting into good positions. No problems with that at all. I would say that in the first half, he should have buried that goal. It really, Fabianski, if he had just chipped it over Fabianski rather than going for a driver, then, I think he would have got that goal. But let's give our opponents some credit here. And this is one thing that I always like to do, is give our opponents some credit. West Ham, of course, they have been going through quite a tough time. There's El Sakiko that was being discussed. There was lots and lots and lots of stuff that was coming out. And, there was questions whether or not this was Lopetegui's last game if he was to be beaten by us. But he set up in a way which I think, worked. You have to give credit to West Ham. I think they did play quite defensively. They were very, very good in defence. When we did manage to get through, then, like I say, Fabianski was there. He made some really, really good saves. And, there is no doubt that, that was the game plan. They knew what we was going to do. They knew we was going to press high. And it almost worked. They did get, of course, the penalty. Now, let's go on to that. The penalty, I don't know. I just don't get these decisions. Now, I'm not saying, West Ham fans, should have been delighted about it, but like I've heard from some really, really reasonable West Ham fans, and full credit to them, they are giving so much credit to us. I want to give some credit back that, they are always, West Ham fans have always come across as people that, do say it as it is. Say it as it is, and that's what they have done. As again, fair play to them. They said, in one podcast that I went on, that if that went against West Ham, they'd be pretty disappointed. They'd be pretty angry. And I don't think it was a penalty. It's nothing against West Ham. I think the officials have got it wrong. Again, Tyler Adams is trying to stop the ball. Of course, his arms are in a position which maybe they shouldn't be. But how do you get any traction? And hence the reason why I said traction is how do you get any traction when, say for example, you can't just jump with your arms down by your side? It's not going to work. So he's tried to make himself bigger. He's tried to get the ball. Unfortunately, the flight of the ball has narrowly brushed his hand, and that's what I mean. It's brushed his hand. It's not hit his hand square on. It's not hit it at such force. I would say, well, yeah, okay, but it has brushed his hand. And we've seen this so many times. This against teams in the past, and VAR have gone in the favour of the offensive team. It makes it very, very difficult for defenders to actually make themselves bigger. It makes it very difficult for them to defend crosses, and it probably makes the officials' job a lot harder. There was no deliberate, and whatever anybody says to me, there was no deliberate attempt to actually stop that ball by Tyler Adams with his hand. It was unfortunate. It didn't, and in my honest opinion, it didn't actually alter the actual path of travel of the ball. Now, that is one rule that I want to see, hopefully come in from the authorities. Now, if a ball brushes a hand, and I mean brushes, I don't mean, stick your hand out and it hits it square on. That's a penalty. Even if it doesn't affect it, the travel of the ball, it probably would do if you swatted it like that. Of course it would. But if it doesn't affect the travel of the ball, and if it is minor, I personally think, and that's even if, say, for example, we were given a penalty and one of West Ham's players, let's say Mohamed Kudus, got his hand in the way, it touched his hand, and it just brushed. I think that would be very, very unfair on West Ham in that case. But like I say, it's the rules of the game. Unfortunately, they need to look at the rules of the game and they need to determine how they move forwards with this. Of course, very, very well dispatched penalty. A staggered run up. Some people don't like them, but I thought, at the end of the day, it's not against the rules. And yeah, it was a very, very well taken penalty by Paqueta. So, of course, we were staring defeat in the face in a game where I would say that, attacking sense, we probably were the better side. We probably were the better side. Defensively, I thought West Ham were very, very good. They were very well structured. They worked their way back. They made things difficult for us. I think Lopetegui did get it right. I think Bowen being played in that more attacking position. I've watched quite a bit at West Ham. And to be fair, Lopetegui's substitutions, his lineups, the way they play the game doesn't always make sense. Personally, in this game, I think that he got it spot on. For West Ham fans, and I'm sure you'll agree with me if you're watching this and you're a West Ham fan, it's now how does he adapt? And I think, you know, in a way, we're in a lucky position as AFC Bournemouth fans. We're in a position that we've really never really been in before, apart from in the Championship, League One, League Two, where we can dictate the style of game. We've never had that in the Premier League. It's a novelty. It's, amazing that we have got that opportunity. So, yeah, I would say, you know, in my honest opinion, I think that we were, you know, we controlled the game. We controlled the game, but West Ham combated the match, and they did it very well. They did it very well. Again, I've got zero complaints about the penalty. We should have taken our chances. We had plenty of chances that we could have taken, but let's be fair, we didn't. So yeah, in my honest respects, we went 1-0 down. Absolutely no complaints. There was that Evan Nilsson header again. Fabianski did a fantastic job saving that header. It was like a deft header. I thought, our defensive work at the back. It was a battle, and the game was always going to be won or lost in midfield. And Lopetegui got that spot on. Iriola got that spot on. We were very, very. It was a battleground, to be fair, in that centre of midfield. And then, and to be honest, I don't personally think that the West Ham man, I'm going to say this, I don't think that the West Ham man needed to make the foul. We got a free kick. And that free kick was absolutely top bins. Thriker, sexy football, liquid football, you bloody name it. It was unbelievable. I did not know that Enes Unal had that in his locker. I really didn't. I thought Enes Unal offers something a little bit different. There was questions, and from myself, whether or not Enes Unal is the right sort of player to be here to deputise. In the case that Evan Nilsson is out for any prolonged period of time, there's still a lot of question marks in my head. I always did say, would Semenyo be the better option up front? But of course, that's taking Semenyo out of the position that he's played so well in, which is that right-hand side of midfield, which personally, yesterday, just going on to Semenyo, I think I don't know. Maybe he is nursing like a slight strain or something. I think his performances have dipped a little bit. He's still very, very good player. He's still quality. Still makes runs in. Maybe it's because teams are aware of him and what danger he poses. I think it's probably more that actually, if he hasn't got any injury, that he is well marked. He's well managed. Are cautious of Semenyo. But Enes Unal's free kick, and I thought Ennis, when he did come on, I know that he wasn't on for a long period of time, was very good. I'm not just saying that because he scored that goal. It was top left hand corner as we were looking at it, and it was just drifted in. No goalkeeper in the world would have saved that, and Fabianski, for all his efforts during the game, and I got to say, you know our man of the match, definitely Ryan Christie. He worked his socks off again. He battled. He was quick. But if I had to pick a player of the match, so not our man of the match, a player from both sides, I'd have to give it to Fabianski, because I think, everything that, and we had so many opportunities. We did have a lot more opportunities than West Ham. Everything that was thrown his way, he was excellent at saving. And I, if we compare him against Kepa, I didn't think Kepa had a bad game. He did make some good saves. I think Fabianski is probably somebody that Kepa needs to look at and just see is his starting position. When a ball comes into the box, where is his starting position? Where he's already reading when the player's running into the box, he's already reading, where do I need to be in that goal mouth? Now, I don't know if Kepa's really got that, but the reason why, like I say, this wasn't something that was a fault of Kepa's yesterday. I thought that Kepa did well. Everything that thrown at him, he did well. But if we go back to the Brighton, and I might be being a bit harsh here, but the Brighton game, the Liverpool game, it was like, right, okay, his positioning of where he is in that goal mouth isn't particularly that great. whereas Fabianski, um, probably the best goalkeeping performance I've seen at Dean Court for some time, and a long, 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 long time. Um, West Ham fans, if you're watching this, firstly, thank you so much for everybody for welcoming me on their brilliant podcasts. And I really enjoyed coming on and speaking to Will at the We Are West Ham podcast. Will Pugh, of course, I know him from the Tap In and his work at Sun Sport. Of course, James at E20 TV. Again, a very, very good conversation with him. I watched his reaction show after the match. He was very, very respectful to AFC Bournemouth. I would really encourage you to go and watch it as well. An excellent reaction show. And then, of course, we had Hammer's chat as well, and I went on with Gonzo. And again, another very, very good, pleasant conversation that he had on his show. They did a watch along, which, I, of course, was at the game. I watched bits and pieces of it. I watched, Gonzo and the guys there at Hammer's Chat. I think you'll probably forgive me, but I did actually watch or scroll to the bit where Enes scored that free kick just to see the reaction. And straight away, one of the first things that the guy said there was, it's world-class free kick. But I do agree with you that the player who conceded that free kick didn't need to make that foul. I'll be on, that is the way I see it. Defensively we were very, very good. I think Adam Smith was a little bit leggy towards the time he was bought off. I think, putting Lewis Cook in that right back position, very good move again from Iriola. Kirkes, he is a machine. He is a traction engine himself. He won't stop going. So he was very good. Justin Kluivert, I think he's played a lot of football. Maybe he just needs a little bit of a rest. This is the problem now. We're getting into that period of the season where games are coming thick and fast, and it's a case of we've got to keep refreshing things. We might set up a lineup that is similar to this game against West Ham, against Manchester United. But I don't think that we can then go, right, okay, we're going to play the same lineup against Crystal Palace and Fulham and then Everton. What we do need to do is kind of manage this team now and just kind of rotate a couple of players. Have we got the ability to do that? I think yes. I think we've got the ability to do that. I think the centre-back pairing is probably fixated at the moment, unless we do give James Hill an opportunity, which I think he more than deserves. I think he deserves his opportunity. And I think he's a very, very good player, very good young prospect. Maybe might not be there at the moment. Might not be up to the high levels that we're performing at. But you never know. We've got to give him a chance. Every time I've seen him, I've been very impressed. So maybe we need to bring him in. I think we need to use players like Max Aarons at this moment in time. I think we need to make sure we rotate. Phil Billing, I think he was excellent, albeit when he did. Before Christie got that shot off, when we was 1-0 down, he kind of dragged his foot across the ball. I think it would have been easier just to have a pot shot at Fabianski. To be honest, Fabianski probably would have saved it because he was having such a good game. But, you never know. If you get that shot on target, it might take a deflection off a West Ham man, or somebody might be able to just before Fabianski can actually move, into another position, somebody might be able to get a touch on it just to knock it past him. So there is that. I thought Phil Billing, though, I thought was very, very good when he come on again. He wasn't on long for a long period of time, but I was happy with what I saw. So overall, yeah, very, very good. Brooksy, of course, I think that I would probably start him this is the problem that Iriola's got now. Do we start Brooksy against Manchester United, give maybe Semenyo a rest, or do we save him for the Crystal Palace game? I think Brooksy will have to start one of those games. I don't think we can continue to play this same way all throughout. Now, I think we need to just kind of adapt it to get as many points on the board throughout this Christmas period. Because it is intense. It is intense, and that's the nature of the Premier League. Once we're after the Everton game, everything just calms down a bit, and we probably could, for that West Brom match, rest quite a few of the regular starters, considering where we are in the table. 25 points. I would say we are, probably a win or two away from certain survival, unless we go and get beat throughout the rest of the season. It's not going to happen. Relegation is not on my mind, and it's a beautiful place to be in. Absolutely beautiful place. Every single season, I'm thinking, well, let's get to 38 points, then worry. I think we could get a result against Manchester United away. I think we can definitely beat Crystal Palace, Fulham. I think we can get something there. And Everton, I would hope that we would beat Everton at home. I would hope that we would just have way too much for Everton at home. And then, of course, we've got the Cup game. So it's going to be a testing period. But out the back of this period, we might have up until May, to just let our minds run free with what this football club can do. I'm used to watching this football club, on its knees. I'm used to watching this football club struggling. I'm used to watching this football club, on minus 17 points. I'm used to watching, when we've now got a football club who, after after that Everton game, could be thinking, well, we're safe. Let's go for it. Europe, yeah, I think it's still going to be a big ask, and we were laughing about it yesterday, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just get to that 38 mark. Like I say, one or two more wins, there won't be any issues at all, because we will pick up results throughout the rest of the season regardless. But yeah, a very, 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 very proud time to be a Bournemouth fan, despite, the 1-1 draw against West Ham. I'd say despite, years ago, we would have been absolutely, over the moon to get a 1-1 draw against West Ham. How times have really changed that, we're thinking, well, West Ham at home, we should have the 3 points here. It wasn't to be. I thought West Ham were very good. And, hopefully, fingers crossed for them, they can go from strength to strength. Hopefully for Lopetegui, it's turned a bit of a corner. We'll have to see what happens there. I still think that maybe they've got other ideas, and maybe they'll bring somebody else in, and they're just biding their time with Lopetegui until they find that person and agree something with that person. But yeah, overall, a very, very happy chappy here. Let us know your comments about the game. Let us know your thoughts if you're West Ham or Bournemouth. All your comments are really, really much appreciated. Hopefully, fingers crossed, things will go from strength to strength at West Ham. And maybe, just maybe, next season we'll be going to the Bernabeu, and not just for a bloody tour. I'll leave you on that note. See you in the next one. Thank you for joining us. Catch up with you soon.
The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.